Welcome to episode 618 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Dan Hilton, and you can hear it in my voice. I'm a bit under the weather today, so that does mean that I am not up to the all five headlines, but at least we have three headlines, if you want to call it that, because today we're going to do an edition of good, bad, and less. Because the bad is certainly that I'm not feeling great, but I got through not only the cold enough to have the watch along, but I'm also going to get through this cold for this final match review. So let's dive right in before I don't have any more words for you and I lose the rest of my voice. Let's do some good, bad, less for the 1-0 win over Getafe. Let's dive in. All right, the good. Let's start with the goal because obviously the goal was good. 19th minute. It's a Lamine Yamal carry. Didn't necessarily have his best day at the office, but still, what does Lamine Yamal do? As I tell you, every single match, in even the smallest details, he affects it in a big way, constantly dealing with a double team, constantly having a number of bodies thrown at him, constantly, especially by Getafe, getting hacked to pieces. But with Lamine Yamal and Koundé, what I like to see is that their overlap, which doesn't necessarily have to happen too often and shouldn't happen too often. Lamine Yamal can be trusted in space on that right wing with Koundé keeping his defensive shape. But on the chances that Koundé does overlap, Lamine Yamal, positional play wise, step in for him, get forward, that being Koundé, and deliver a good cross. And exactly what he does. The keeper, Soria, he has some good stops in this game, but this isn't one of them. The keeper doesn't catch it cleanly. Lewandowski cleans up the mess, now making it 7 goals in 7 matches for Lewandowski, which puts him in vaunted territory with his own record, actually. He is one of 7 players who started the first 7 games of a season with 7 goals or more in La Liga. And he joins a list of Cayetano Rey, 1964, Kini, 1981, R9, 1996, Edo, 05. Messi did it 4 times. Of course, Messi does. And then Neymar did it once, and Lewandowski did it himself in 2022. So he becomes the first player in Barcelona history that's not named Messi to do this twice, 7 goals in 7 matches to start a La Liga season. The rest of the team behind Lewandowski as well. After that point, and when I say after that point, that being the first 20 minutes, Barcelona could have allowed Getafe, even on the road, to continue to try to press and fight as they did in the first 5 minutes, where they had their first and only shot on target in the game. But then I thought that without Pedri, the midfield of Eric Garcia and especially Mark Cossato, they settled down. They took some control because I thought Eric Garcia was really solid after he got a warning in the 20th minute. Wasn't so great to start the game, but settled down. He was reckless to start. As I said, settled down, found the game, and those possession stats and the lack of attacking effort from Getafe is a testament to Eric Garcia's positioning in this game. And then I thought, for me, even though Lamine Yamal got the man of the match, I thought Cossato deserved the man of the match. He was tremendous, especially on the press, rest defense, all the stuff that we kind of take for granted. I thought he was really good, especially in the second half when Barcelona seemed to be losing some legs. Him getting rotated against Villarreal now makes Hansi Flick look like a genius because he gave you 90 really solid minutes here. Also got a yellow on Arambari for his trouble, diving into tackles and getting hacked to bits and being unafraid to get fouled. Balde also on the wings had a really good day. Probably, I thought for Balde, maybe his best day of the season so far. And then Koundé as at least the right back, also important. And against Getafe, when they're going to play that low block, if your outside backs are able to have a good day and you can use them for your width and are allowing Rafinha and Lamine Yamal to overload the middle, that means that you're probably going to be on the front foot. And so Balde and Koundé both having a good day. And I also thought in the moment, Balde's best combination in that match was a combination with Pablo Torre early in the second half. That's exactly what you want to see from him. As in, start your run late, start your run low, allow the numbers upfield to cause Getafe to have to drop in, and then use that quick first touch to dribble into the middle. And if you're able to make the right decision, Balde, in a quick amount of time, then you've got space to burn if they find you back out wide. And I thought he made some good decisions, that being Balde, throughout the match. Pablo Torre as well. He's a good player against a team who want to play a low block. And Pablo Torre is certainly of the level to play against an Getafe side that does look like they're going to be relegated this season unless they turn something around. Lamine Yamal was also good in the game. What's new there? He had a good chance in the 58th minute that Soria had to save. And this is because Cossato worked so hard to win the ball back. And then Rafinha and Pablo Torre, their close control and passing opened up the space for Lamine Yamal. He also hit the bar later on in the game. So he could have really had a brace if Soria hadn't saved the one in the top corner and that had to hit the bottom part of the bar as opposed to the top part of the bar and out. Nico Martinez, another solid performance from him as well. It was a great tackle late in the game in the box, took a chance, but using that experience, using that leadership, Good on you, Inigo Martinez, while Araujo is on the shelf. And now for the bad, this is a shorter category than the good because 3 points and the win, that's a good thing. Getafe were what was definitely bad in this game, more, I think, than Barcelona were even good. Getafe had less than 100 total passes in the first half, 170 passes in totality for the entire game. Barca had more than 600 passes in the contest, 78% possession, which at times was over 80. The only shot, as I mentioned, for Getafe on target came in the first 5 minutes, and then Barcelona figured it out. Getafe was pretty good at blocking shots, but that was about the only thing that they did well in this game. Carlos Perez had a few moments, but other than that, this Getafe side looks like they're going to get relegated. So a bad day at the office for them. There was also, for the referee, a lot of, especially in the second half, bookable offenses, which didn't result in cards. Now, Rafinha did get a card because he was arguing, but the ref, I think, for tackles, did not want to let the game get out of hand, didn't want to have to throw out a number of yellow cards, so was conservative with them, which I don't think supported Barcelona. Fortunately for Barca, I guess this goes back to the good category. They didn't really make it a fight in the mud with Getafe. They didn't really match them. They played physical. They played hard, but especially Lewandowski didn't look as cool. So that is a good thing. The bad part of it is that Lewandowski just got hacked to bits. He was battered, came out for Pedri in the 76th minute, but put in a good performance as well. I was also not happy that Lamine Yamal didn't get rotated again. That's not a great thing for a future part of the season or a future part of his career. 63rd minute, Ferran Torres came on for Pablo Torre. Not really a good showing for him either. Was unable to make an impact. And that game late, especially in the last 10 minutes when he could have been a leader up top, just didn't see it from him. His runs and his timing weren't really perfect. And I know Lewandowski was offside a number of times, but those were close margins. Ferran Torres, it felt like he was jumping offside and had to jump his way back on side because he was way too early on those runs. Also wasn't happy that there was no Ansu Fati. That's another bummer. Instead, it was Gerard Martin and Hector Fort on for Cubarsí and Balde. And on that point, as part of the bad, I'm not really seeing it from Gerard Martin. I get why he was selected over Alex Valle as the more attacking option. You want Alex Valle to get regular minutes. I think what Gerard Martin on paper is supposed to give you defensively, he would be able to give you that in 10 minutes or 90. Like, I don't really think he needs to be on the field a lot to give you what they want to see from him. But I also don't think he really found the game in the 10 minutes he's on the field. And I haven't really seen that top ceiling from Gerard Martin. And even as a backup to Balde, I'm a little concerned, as I was the last 2 seasons now, with the drop-off from the starter to the backup. I would hope there'd be a little more depth this season, but at left back, I'm just not seeing it from Balde to Gerard Martin. Because in the ending for this game, I think that was a bad thing for Barca. Getafe looked like they had more legs to close out the match, which isn't that surprising. The back line also looked like they lost some organization with the subs once Cubarsí went out because he didn't really look like he was totally fit. Looked like he took some kind of knock. Lamine Yamal at that point was also, I don't know if he was limping, if he was laboring, whatever it was. Barcelona did not look like they were ending the match with the amount of legs required. And the defense has also been a bit disorganized when Koundé has moved over to center back. Haven't loved that to end games, but due to the rotations, due to the players available, that's kind of been what Hansi Flick has had to do. So hopefully they start to figure those things out because, yeah, against Getafe, when you're up 1-0, you can still keep that lead. But against other better teams, even Osasuna on the weekend, holding on to 1-0 is going to be a lot harder than it was against Getafe. And then Idres, which is a little translation in Catalan from and of the rest. So this is kind of what the other things that aren't good or bad from the match. I thought Rafinha, again, getting that yellow was bad, but his leadership has also been good. So this kind of goes in Idres with Rafinha's performance. He had 4 shots, could have been an impactful player in the game after in the pregame received the Liga Player of the Month award. So for as good as he was in the last month, he kind of didn't find this game, but he had good moments and bad moments, certainly. And I think the other Idres, and like, this is good. It doesn't really matter how you get the 3 points, but the 3 points that were achieved in this game are kind of the Idres because 7 wins from 7 matches. The big picture is that Barcelona could not have started this season better in the league. 21 points from those 7 matches, keeping that 4-point lead over Real Madrid with half of your first team injured. And they might have some good news. I don't know how impactful it will be, but it looks like Szczesny, who just retired with Juventus less than a month ago, and it looks like that Barcelona and Hansi Flick have convinced him, alongside his Polish international teammate in Robert Lewandowski, to come back out of his quick retirement and either be I think it's not going to be a backup situation for Szczesny. I think it's going to be a 1A Szczesny, 1B Iñaki Peña situation. You know, I know Hansi Flick has praised Iñaki Peña, but I still, again, over the course of a whole year, if that's how far Ter Stegen is out, I think Szczesny's going to eventually win that job for the big matches that matter. So I want to talk more about Szczesny coming up in the coming weeks, and especially if he doesn't wind up officially signing and that story falls flat. I don't necessarily want to put myself too far out there. So we'll talk about Szczesny when it becomes official. But for now, it seems like Barcelona are immediately addressing that lack of Ter Stegen. And I guess that the club and Hansi Flick don't want to have to risk Inaki Peña against the likes of Bayern Munich and Real Madrid and this Champions League campaign where they have started that league phase without 3 points. So I think Champions League, that's what this signing is for, a player that definitely has played in his fair share of Champions League matches with Juventus and Arsenal before that. So a pedigree and experience, and Szczesny might be the man of the hour, at least for Barcelona now. And then they'll worry about the long-term future of the goalkeeper position, whether it's Theo Kochin or Yabashashvili, or they bring in another player. Let's say they go for Alvaro Valles in January, which I don't think they do now. Maybe they go for him next season when his contract is actually officially up for Las Palmas. He comes on a free agent. So I don't know how the goalkeeper position shakes out. I also don't know how my voice is going to shake out. I am going on a trip coming up in this coming weekend. So as far as that watch along against Osasuna, if you become a member on Big Up for free, you don't need a password anymore. That's been taken away. So just become a member there so you'll get a notification if I am doing that watch along. I might even do just the first half. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how the trip is going. We'll see how busy I am and all that stuff. But I hope to then come back if I don't do that game midweek. I think on Tuesday, right? It's Champions League against Young Boys. So the action doesn't stop. So in case I don't do that watch along, I'll see you on Tuesday. But if I do, again, become a member on Big Up or just subscribe on this YouTube channel. And then you can see the match review that I'll likely be making the next day anyway. Or if you're listening on a podcast app, of course, subscribe, give me a rating, and help me out there. The 20,000 subscriber video, it is done. It is edited. I just probably waiting for the international break to release it. So if you don't want to miss that, also a good reason to subscribe on YouTube or on the podcast apps or anywhere across social media where you can see when I release it. 3 points against Getafe and a little bit of sickness. Hey, we all survived today. So until next time, as always, Forza Barca.